And yes, we're live. A little bit of a different start tonight. I thought you'd like to listen to some music. And before anyone turns around to me and says, "You can't do that, Griff, you're not allowed to do it," I can, because my guest is here tonight. It's Ted Vieira. Ted, welcome to my show.
Hey, thank you very much, Paul. Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. I was saying to Ted just before we started, I came across his jazz site where he shows his music, and well, it's just amazing music, Ted. So thank you for letting me play that little clip, something different for the folks who watch the show.
My pleasure.
No problem at all. Ted, came across you basically picking up you on YouTube. We were doing all about your Fuji experiences, talking about your X Pro 2 and all the other gear. We're going to come to Fuji later, because I get the impression it's a bit of a passion of ours, isn't it? Let's be honest. How did let's I'll get the impression, obviously, with this jazz music that you started off, the guitar must have been a pretty important part of your life when you were young.
Yeah, I started playing in high school, and I never even thought it would be that big of a thing for my life, you know. But I started playing when I was 17 professionally, and just didn't stop until about 30 years later.
Amazing. And so at age of 17, is it your band that you set up, or were you sort of session?
At that age, it was like different professional bands that are already established and stuff like that. And
yeah,
just trying to hang with those guys.
Lovely. And tours around the States, I take it?
Yeah, mostly the West Coast. I stayed pretty much focused on the West Coast. And
the couple of compilations there, which are on your website, I'm just going to tell everyone what the website address is so they can check it out. That's tedvieira.com for his music. And we'll be looking at his photography later when we delve into that. But yeah, I think he's, as I said to you in the pre-show, we had a little test run yesterday. I find it amazing how many photographers come from a background of music. I just wonder what your thoughts on that were.
I think it's just the artistic nature in general. Like for me, whether it's music or photography, it's about the feel, about just that kind of how the passion comes through and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because that's very similar to what Rick Salmon said to me. It's and he's done some examples on other videos where he played music aggressively, then he's softened it, and then he's gone into a little bit more detail, and then he's jammed and all this sort of things.
Yeah.
These are the things which sort of come out for music in my photography.
Yeah.
He's always talking about his music, which is was a great thing. So Ted, was there by chance a camera in the family household when you were a kid? And can you remember what it was?
My mom always had like a little a box Brownie, box cameras and stuff like that, and she was the one who pretty much documented the family. You know,
lovely.
The camping trips, the daily stuff. It was cool.
Was it a big family?
Not really. There's 2 girls, 2 boys, and my mom and my dad. By the time I was born, though, just really me and my sister were the only ones there.
Right. Okay. And what did your mum and dad do as for a living? Were they in music as well?
My dad did. He did photography for a while. He did professional photography. He did like weddings and some journalism stuff. But even though, like I said, even though he did photography, it was my mom that did more of the family stuff, more prolific. But my dad, he worked for the government doing like analysis and stuff like that. My mom was a housewife, so
there you go. Yeah. And of course, this is the classic, wasn't it? There's your mum taking the photographs. No doubt you had to wait a week or so for the prints to come back and see if you all sit down and pass the photograph around.
Yeah, good stuff.
The thing in actual fact, I remember with one of your videos last time was when you actually showed your prints, which I thought was a great way of showing, rather than saying, like I do so many times, go to screen share and look at these, look at the work done by my said guest, which we will do, of course, for your work. But let's just touch on, let's show some prints now. I'm going to hold the screen because I love printing. I don't do enough printing, and I am determined to do more. I'm steadily getting into it. Is this your own printing, Ted, or have you done it by third party?
For the most part, I'll do stuff at home.
Right. Okay.
The bigger stuff, like I don't know if you can see the 20 or 30. I got some other stuff back there.
Lovely.
Those ones I'll send out.
I love the one there with the shades. I think that's on
Yeah, pretty cool, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
cool shot, cool shot.
yeah. And then I'll just do like,
Just flick through about, I don't know, have you got 6 or 7 there? We can show that and see the work that's
yeah,
printed.
this is some shots from a recent shoot that I did with the X Pro 2.
Yeah, exactly.
To test out the camera.
We want to talk about the X Pro 2, Ted, and get some details on that.
Here's another one from that shoot.
Very nice.
And that's the typical stuff that I do. I work with a lot of models and help them with their portfolios, that kind of thing.
Okay. Do you do any other sort of commercial work apart from we'll say, I would call that glamour type work or portrait type work?
Yeah, I'll do like headshots,
okay,
and product photography, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So how did this switch go from music? You know, you're in the music world for nearly over 30 years. What happened?
Well, the industry, just live music and clubs and stuff like that, just kind of, started to go away and things like that. And so it just kind of faded out on its own. I still play, every couple months or something like that. I might do a jazz gig, but it's just real low key, low profile.
And when you do those jazz gigs, is that solo or do you have a couple of guys with you?
Both.
Oh, right. Okay. So
yeah.
Now that's another thing you see. You go around, there's a lot of pubs and bars around my way here, and they all have this live music session every sort of week, or there's a said day. And again, you just go in the pub there and you just watch these guys playing. I don't say it because you're my guest. I'm in total awe of these guys that can play an instrument like that for the pure joy of it. It's absolutely amazing. So when let's get down to the photography side of things. So the business in terms of the music is we'll say quietening down. You need to find something else to do.
Yeah.
Those photography. How difficult did you find that switch?
Well, I kind of I started with product photography for clients and things like that, and just building that up. And then I started getting more serious probably about 8 years ago and stuff like that, where I started getting into working with models and doing more of that kind of stuff. Vegas has a lot of that kind of work here.
Yeah.
So yeah, as one phased out, the other one kind of developed.
Oh, that's nice that it's gone so smoothly. And what was your chosen gear at that time then?
I started off with like first DSLR was a Rebel Canon.
Yeah.
And then I was always shooting with Canon. I had a 5D Mark II was the last Canon that I had. Yeah, full frame, all the L glass and stuff. And great system. Yeah,
because the Canon 5D Mark III is really it's like it's a workhorse. It's still going strong. There's so many people still using it.
Yeah.
Good work. But the thing about them is these bigger DSLRs, Nikon and Canon, is they're big systems.
Yeah, when like the 5D Mark II was getting a little bit old, and I was thinking like, well, I'll either upgrade to a 5D Mark III, but then I shot with the Fuji X 100 since 2010. 2011, something like that. But I always just kind of looked at it as my play camera, my street photography stuff, and I didn't expect the files to be as good as like the 5D.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is it started creeping up on me that I started liking the files better that I was getting from this little 12 megapixel camera more than I was getting from my full frame Canon. And so I thought, I'd spend about 3 months watching a ton of YouTube videos, and just especially the XT1, just looking what everybody was saying about that, the files they were getting from it, the kind of work they could do with it. And and then I finally just said like, I think I'm going to make that switch from Canon to Fuji. And I decided first I picked up an XT1 and like a 14 millimeter lens, and just started shooting with that just to test it out. I wanted before I jumped full, into it. And man, it was so much fun, shooting with a smaller body, and the image quality was awesome.
You see, there's a good point you mentioned about the image quality. Is one of the reasons why I wanted to show the prints there. And I know we're not going up mega close to the image, and so to try and pick out where the resolution is breaking down, for want of description. But have you had any major problems with using a 1.5 crop camera as the Fujis are compared to what you were getting from the full frame?
I never thought that I would ever shoot a crop sensor again. I thought it would be full frame from here on out, or maybe nothing else, go up to medium format. But wow, now I'm just looking at image quality. And so that argument doesn't exist anymore between full frame and crop sensor. I can still print like these 13 by 9s that I showed, or 13 by 19s. That's the largest I've printed from Fuji so far. But I've talked to other guys that have just done huge things with them, so it doesn't seem like it really limits the print size.
No,
as long as you got good light, good, everything's set up
that's
well.
right. That's the main thing. But again, a point in passing here, I was at the UK photo show a couple of months ago, and there was an image taken by Chris Upton of mine workers' lamps just on their shelves.
Oh, cool!
And it was a really cool shot. And I spoke to Chris about it, and he said he was showing the A3 print in the presentation. He said, "Paul, go to the Fuji stand, and there's a 3 meter by 2 meter image."
Yeah, right.
And I went, I said, "You're joking?" He said, "No." He said, "Obviously they've had to do some work with it, but I tell you what, Ted, I went up to it and it was fantastic. The guys at Genesis Printers in London were absolutely fantastic what they produced, but it was 3 meters by 2 meters.
Yeah,
and I just couldn't believe it. So this is a very important point, actually, because when you start talking about 1/2 crop against full frame image quality, and you're getting that in bundles by the looks of things.
Yeah. Man, the shallow depth of field, because people will talk about that too, that you're going to get more from the full frame and stuff. But I got actually this wouldn't really apply, but yeah, I'm getting so much shallow depth of field with that 56-1.2.
Yeah.
And I thought about going with a 90, but I haven't made that decision yet. I like being closer to the subjects I shoot with. But yeah, with that kind of aperture, it just gets beautiful bokeh, because that was kind of, with the Canon system, I had the 51-2, which was just a beautiful lens. I love that lens so much, right? So I was a little worried that I wasn't going to get those kind of results if I did switch to Fuji. But so I got the XT1, and then when I ordered the 56-1.2, because I knew that would be the lens that I would use for most of this kind of work, the portraiture stuff. Man, I just put it on and started shooting stuff around the house, and boy, all my worries were gone.
Yeah.
Just beautiful colors, sharp where it needed to be sharp, beautiful bokeh, that kind of thing. It was awesome.
Yeah.
In fact, I even I bought a little cheap $20 lens adapter to take Canon and put them on Fuji, and I compared the 51.2 side by side with the 56-1.2, and both beautiful, but the Fujis actually were sharper where they needed to be sharp, and beautiful bokeh with both, but it was a sharper lens.
I've done the same thing with an I know you call it Nikon out there, a Nikon 50mm 1.8, which I put on my I've got the XE1. I put on there with the Nikon adapter, and I took a couple of images, and they call it kit lens. I always laugh at the 1855. Put it to the 50mm point on the zoom there, and took a couple of images, and well, there was no point in me using the Nikon lens. The Fuji was as good, if not better, in certain aperture settings. So the 50mm stays on my film camera, and I don't need to use the adapter. So I'll have to think about putting that on eBay sometimes.
Yeah. Have you used any vintage lenses?
Say again?
Have you tried any vintage lenses on your Fujis?
No, I haven't used any vintage lenses. I at the moment I've obviously got the I've got the X100S with the 2 converters, the WCL and the TCL, and it's your fault that I bought the TCL. And that's just fantastic. I can't believe how good that bit of kit is. And I got the 35-1.4 and the 1855, and that's my kit, which goes with my XT10 or the XE1, which I've now converted the XE1 to be an infrared
nice.
shooter. So I've got a 720 filter on that. So that's my kit as it is, nice and neat. I do like the 56. My friend's got the 56. It's a fantastic lens, and I know some people have talked about the 90, but it's not my requirement. my requirement at all.
Yeah, I don't really need anything that long.
No, you
And
like
I don't like to be, even in doing like portrait stuff, I understand compression and all that, but I don't like to be that far away. I don't want to be across the room from the person I'm working with to get the shot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I tell you, it's a good way to, let's go and do a little screen share here, Ted, and have a look at your work.
Okay.
Just waiting for my site to come up here. It's got one too many windows open, I think. So where are we? Present to everyone. There we go. So as I was saying earlier on to the viewers, this is Ted's jazz guitarist website, and that was the track I was playing before, The Closer I Get to You, sample tracks from Perfect Nights, and then there's another album down here, and these are just fantastic tracks. I've been playing it all day, and that's no word of a lie. Let's go to Ted Vieira, tavphotography.com, and take a look at Ted's beautiful, beautiful work. And I think really this cover photograph, in actual fact, shows us, Ted, as you say, you don't want to be on the other side of the studio taking this shot with a 100 or 200 millimeter lens. You like to be close and with the model.
Yeah, you know, I think like I said, I understand about the compression and stuff that a longer lens can give, but I think the connection I can get with the person I'm shooting with kind of overrides that. I think it's much more important to have that connection. I think I can get a stronger image that way.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. I think they're really. I understand it's a job, and you're doing the work for the model to improve her portfolio, but they're in a way they're intimate with the closeness that you're getting to the model. Let's take a little look at some. This is the Beauty Glamour Boudoir site, where obviously Ted is doing some work here for the model to improve their portfolio. And again, we can see the beautiful highlights on the shoulder and the face here. And then you're not frightened to throw some shadow in there, are you, Ted?
I love shadow, man. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I like to not see everything.
Yeah.
No matter what kind of photography it is. I know some guys who will shoot at f11 and f16 and higher all day, and everything is tack sharp and stuff. I don't want that. I want there to be some question. I want there to be some mystery, something, the things that you don't see.
Yeah, exactly. I love it where you got the, as I say, talking about the head and the shoulder, but I just love this bit here with his hair. Just a little sneak peek of her beautiful hair.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about the bokeh, you know, the outer focus part of this image. Look at that, tack sharp on the face, but the shoulder and the arm, just a little tad out of focus, little glint in the eye there.
Yeah, these are all with the 56 1.2.
This is the 56 1.2. Yeah, I think it just shows the quality. Yeah. Shows the quality, and the camera is the X Pro 2.
Yeah, that was actually for a photo shoot where I wanted to test the camera out in that kind of situation. And boy, man, I love this camera more every day.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people would want to see this side of her face, but it works.
Yeah. I've got a friend of mine who's that way. He'll go like, too dark, man.
Yeah, exactly. Too dark. Yeah. Great shots. And you got a nice balance of image there where you've basically done a little bit of fine art work, but at the same time, you're down at the bottom here, you got like a straight portrait, as I would call it, where it's well-lit portrait.
Yeah. You know, it's like, even though this is kind of sexy stuff, I've never really wanted to do just, you know, sex just for sex sake.
No.
It's beauty. It's like just the beauty of the woman, you know, the intimacy and just the power that they, you know, have there.
This is such a cool shot. This is the one which is sitting behind you.
Yeah.
I love the glasses. I
Yeah.
don't think they would suit me, but I love the glasses on her.
You don't know till you try, man.
It's very true. Let's go back to another portfolio. Let's in actual fact, I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go to the headshots. Now this type of work, is this for sort of brochure type work for corporate companies?
These particular ones are all actor students trying to break into acting, and just most of them are sent over from a guy who does acting classes here in Vegas.
Right. Okay. So obviously, from that point of view, this is a totally different style. It has to show the person. You can't sort of do what I was terming the fine art type photograph that you were doing on the previous set and the boudoir set.
Yeah, it's got to be more straight. It's a little more straightforward and stuff. Here I went with some shadowing again.
Yeah, got a little bit there,
but
yeah, you see, this is good record photography, really, of the individual portrait for the required portfolio.
Yeah.
That's great. And then I'll tell you what we'll do now, because there's one particular portfolio which I love, which is scenes, moods, and still life, where you've taken some shots here. And this to me has got such atmosphere. I know what it is, but it's just makes you think. Just makes you think. You're using the shadow here again.
These were a lot of shots that I actually did. I wanted it. People were talking to me about like shooting at 12,800 ISO.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, that sounds pretty cool. I want to try that. But I didn't do it on street photography yet. I wanted to set up some kind of moody, where I could kind of get that feel of a grain, where it would actually enhance the photo.
This is it. Well, I was just going to say on this particular one, which really shows this effect here that has occurred, which is on the background. I assume it's some kind of sheet, but you look like almost a film-like grain there on that image. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's the Acros JPEGs.
Oh, right. Okay, I was going to ask you, is that the Acros? And I love this where you've gone quite nice and close in on the guitar, and checking out the knobs there, the dials and everything. And photograph of the old film camera, and this one I love.
Yeah.
Nice cool evening, sitting down. Is that a Jack Daniels there?
It was vodka.
Oh, right, okay. Well, which one? Doesn't matter. Beautiful shot. I just love this. Just love this. Look at that trumpet.
Yeah.
And that is probably my favorite of the lot. Lit by the candlelight.
Yeah.
And that one. Now, this one reminds me of someone we're going to be talking about a lot later. I love the style of it, Mr. Soul Lighter. It just reminds me so much of his work. It's a lovely shot, that. And that again.
Thanks, man.
Look at that. Small part in focus and the rest blown out. And really 2/3 of that image is blown out of focus, but it's such an atmospheric shot. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. Let's come out of the screen share, Ted. Thanks for sharing that work with us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's a fantastic website. Absolutely superb. You've got some great images there. Very envious of the work you've created there. Ted, let's talk more about Fuji. It was the XT1. Well, it started off with the X100.
Yeah,
the XT1, and then this beauty came along, which everyone's been waiting for, the X Pro 2.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, Ted.
Man, I wasn't gonna buy it. I love the X. I just switched over from Canon in October to the XT1, and I'd fallen so much in love with the XT1, and it kind of matched more of the Canon feel with ergonomics and things like that. And I remember trying the X Pro 1 when it first came out. So I loved the X100, even with all of its little quirkiness.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I thought, okay, cool. This is like the X100's big brother, and different lenses and stuff. So I tried it. but it just didn't really feel that great. The ergonomics of it for me just didn't really feel that strong. Didn't feel that good in the hands. So when the X Pro 2 was announced, yeah, man, I watched all the videos and I watched all the X photographers with all this, cool cinematic kind of stuff put together, and the new features of the sensor and the processor and stuff. But I thought, no, I'm going to stick with, I'm going to wait for the XT2. But then the X Pro 1 started shipping, and photographers are showing me, man, these amazing shots.
Yeah.
And it's not that you don't get that with the XT1 or any of the other Fujis, but I started seeing like the Acros film simulation.
Yeah.
And then I started kind of pulling in. I'm not really a pixel peeper, but I did look close to see just the difference in the shots and stuff. And so I went down to a local store here, BNC Camera here in Vegas. I was just going to try it out, right? So I just held it up, did some test things with it, and you know how that goes, right?
Yeah, exactly. I've done that before.
so I brought it home with me, and it's been nonstop ever since. It's all I shoot with, even though I still think, I think for like street photography and stuff that really requires more discretion and quiet and stuff, I still think the X100 or X100T now is, man, I think it's one of the, personal preference, but I mean, I think it's still the best street photography camera out there.
Yeah, I would agree.
That leaf shutter, but with the X Pro 2, I'm shooting everything with that now.
Yeah,
the street stuff, the portrait stuff.
There's so many people that I've spoken to with regards to the Pro side that are switching to the X Pro 2. That they were XT1 users, they switched to the Pro 2. But it was interesting enough, I've mentioned this to you, when I was at that show a couple of months ago, I went to the Fuji stand and I'm having a chat with the guys behind the stand, and I said, how's it going? And things, oh, yeah, very well. A lot of interest in the X70, a lot of interest in the Pro 2, great. How about the XE2S? Yeah, a little bit of interest. And I said, so is there something wrong? So he said, yeah, everyone keeps asking us, when's the XT2 coming out? And then it just goes to show you, customers are never satisfied, are they?
I know, and they're great cameras.
Fantastic.
The XEs, the XTs, the X Pros, all of them.
What happened to your XT1? Did you trade that in, or have you still got that?
No, I'm the kind of guy I'll probably hold on to it for sentimental. I just collect. So usually once I buy a camera, it'll just go to the shelf if I don't use it. But I still have the tilt screen. Yeah. So if I'm doing a shot where I need, that weird angle or something like that, that can be happy. I'll probably still try to work it out with the X Pro 2 first, though. But if I ever need that tilt screen, at least I've got it.
Yeah, you've got that option. Yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons why I'll keep the XT10. The reason I bought the T10 was the fact that I read a rumor, and there you go, get carried away with rumors, that they weren't going to bring out a new XE version, because I bought the 1. Okay. I didn't want to buy the 2. I was going to buy the 3, and then of course the 2S comes out, and I'm stymied with the XT10. But the one big thing about the 10 is the fact it's got the swivel back screen. So the tilt screen, rather, not swivel. It's a tilt screen, which it gives you that another option. So I'll be carrying on with that for a little while longer. And I've put the 2 up, compared them through DP Reviewer, and there's not a lot of difference between the 10 and the E2S. So I'm going to leave where I am. Did you find moving from a DSLR, viewfinder in the center of the camera, to a rangefinder style, did that immediately suit you, or did it take you a bit of getting used to?
I was already pretty used to it because of the X100. So I was already familiar with that. And yeah, it felt good.
Well, are you right eye dominant then, or are you left eye dominant?
I'm right eye.
You're right eye, yeah. This is one of the guys said, because I'm left eye dominant, and the guy said, turn the camera upside down.
Right, because then you go.
That's not a bad idea actually, but I wouldn't trust my thumb. Anyway, but it's just a funny thing. He was a Pro 1 user as well. But no, it is amazing how I think Fuji have developed their cameras and the sensor and created this film-like quality. Have you, by any chance, you got some more prints that you could show us there, Ted?
Let's see. Yeah, I've got here's some more
because I think it's important that people see the print version. You know, we all pixel peep. We always chimp, don't we, looking at the camera at the back of the screen, and we want to see what a print looks like.
You know what? And I think print looks better.
Yeah.
I think a physical print, I like the look and the feel of the print better than I do the digital image online or on the screen.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you.
But this is just some more of the model kind of photography stuff. Whoop.
That one's upside down. That's lovely. Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry.
Just that kind of stuff.
I think these are what we would term in the UK here. These are A4 prints. These are what?
Yeah, it's typical, like 8.5 by 11.
Yep.
And you know, but I'll also print, and then I like that 13 by 19. Yeah. I don't know if I really feel the need to do 20 by 30 anymore. That kind of stuff. I'm kind of almost liking smaller prints better. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Then I'll do a lot of 4 by 6 stuff. And here's
I love doing 4 by 6s.
Even just stuff like this is my little nephew Noah. I take care of him about 4 nights a week, and stuff like this. And I've pretty much been shooting, you know, just snapshot stuff. Exactly. And I think it's still worth printing because remember when you had, I don't know if it was the same for you guys, but we had shoe boxes and shoe boxes full of my mom's photographs and stuff, and I still love that. Yeah. So even if it's just like this kind of stuff, I'll print this, you know.
And then that's a great way, because it's one thing. I was just gonna, if I just bear with me. In actual fact, I've made up a book. You know, sometimes you can send your work off, and you can make up those blurb books, can't you? But this one, in actual fact, I've just done something very similar. I mean, just nice. What I've done here is. So these are my prints using the 6 by 4 prints, and I've just put it into a little simple art book which I bought in a museum.
Yeah.
And it's just basically a copy of images that I've taken of street stuff and some architecture type work, and mucking about with my infrared and all sorts of stuff like that. So, you know, and you got that. You can take that out with you, and if you're on the street and someone says, you know, well, what do you like as a photographer? Well, can I show you some of my work? It's there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, practicing your print, you're not wasting a lot of money on a 6 by 4 piece of paper than you are on a full A3 or A4 size piece of material, are you?
Yeah, that's what I'll usually do, a 4 by 6. Even if I'm going to print big, I'll do a 4 by 6 first.
Yeah, as a test run.
That way I'm not just blasting through toner or print or ink.
Yeah, I quite agree. That's a great way to, because in the old days, obviously, with the darkroom, they do the strips, wouldn't they? And they do the proper test, and that's the only way to print properly. Can I ask, what material do you use for your printing, Ted?
You know, for the 4 by 6 and the 8.5 by 11, so I got glossy, but for the bigger ones, I used luster.
Okay.
I really like that finish a lot better. It's a lot nicer.
What's the product name that you use? Is that Fuji paper or is it Epson paper?
It's actually Canon.
Okay.
So a Canon Pro 9500 Mark II.
Okay.
And so I just bought Canon's photo paper Pro Luster.
Okay.
And it's beautiful. I love it.
And do you have any problems? It's interesting because there's a couple of guys been talking to me about printing. Do you have any problems making a mono print? I mean, you have to make some adjustments in the workflow.
You know what? When I used Aperture, because I used to use Apple's Aperture for my photo processing, and you know, I found with that, I really had to bump up the exposure almost ridiculously high to get the print quality that I wanted. Yeah. But then when Aperture kind of went away, I switched over to Lightroom probably a couple of years ago, and printing from Lightroom, I don't make any adjustments at all.
That's amazing.
Like what I see on the screen is what prints out.
I think one of the big mistakes a lot of people do when they start printing is they get it on the screen, send it to the printer, and they go, oh, it's too dark. And one of the big tips that I learned from Martin Bailey was to reduce the brightness on your screen to below 50%, to around about 25, 30%.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then that's half the deal then. You just got to work out, if you do get some kind of color cast, there's a little bit of trickery which you can get into Lightroom and make those adjustments. But I just love printing. You know, it's as you say, I think it's great to see your work on the computer, and you know that it's gone out to Flickr and your 500px, but to physically hold it in your hand and have some stuff up on your wall is what it's all about, isn't it? You've got to show your work. Got to show your work.
Well, and that's, you know, I don't know that this is necessarily the case too, but I mean, like, think of the way technology moves forward so quickly.
Yep.
File formats change, you know, like JPEG's been around for a while, but I mean, things move so fast that who knows, you know, in 10 years, are you going to be able to read these files anymore?
That's right. That's
if you want to go back to something you shot in 2005 or something like that, or 2010, are you going to be able to read that file in 2025?
Yeah.
You got a print of it, at least you got it.
I do remember, in actual fact, when the digital was really starting to go and all the camera firms were coming out with their different RAW file. Nikon's with NEF, Canon CRWs, and then Sony came out with ACR. Fuji's got, was it RAF, isn't it? RAF. It's amazing that they don't just say, right, there's a common RAW file and it's going to be called RAW. You know, why they just can't just say that's what the file is. Rather, they all seem to be able to do JPEG and TIFFs. Why can't they just do a RAW file which is going to stay with us for the rest? But you make a very good point, actually. What's going to happen in 10 years' time when, well, I can't print that anymore?
Yeah, can anything read that file?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a very good point, actually. It makes you think, doesn't it? It really does. Switching it back, did you ever get this feeling about your music when basically you obviously, there you are, you're playing the guitar and you're doing your jazz stuff. Did you think that the technology was starting to interrupt with the music?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everything has its good side and its bad side.
Of course.
You know? But yeah, a lot of computers are ending up on stage. You know, and so it was taking away from human creating music and art together. And because there's something, you know, and I used to do it too, and a lot of the bands I did, and especially here in Vegas and stuff, man, you need to have everything so processed and so you know, up there. Perfect. And it sounds good, especially the people out in the audience. They just think, okay, this is awesome, this is great. But to me, it's still better to walk in and see 5 people, you know, making the music right there, because they're interacting with each other, creating something together that you couldn't get with a computer. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. So the computer started replacing jobs and stuff like that too, on some levels and things like that. But in the good, there were good sides to it too. You get a lot of work because you could get the sound that was on the record.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what it was like. I always remember when I first moved into. I was a print agent for a while for magazines and magazine inserts. And I always remember going into the finishing room, the pre-prep room where they were making the plates to go to the print machine. And they were really having the right grumble about everything which was going on. And I just said to them, I said, what's happening, guys? And they said, well, we won't be required in about 6 months to a year. So I said, why, what's happening? He said, well, basically what's going to happen is it's going to be computer to plate. So and that meant that basically the guy in the office would type out his editorial. He'd then drop the photograph in. He'd send it directly to the printer. The printer would create the plate. So you didn't have this in this middle part. And of course, that's when things started to, especially with newspapers, where they changed that front. And it's amazing how these things come about, isn't it? You know, we're seeing these beautiful cameras that we've got now, and we can basically take anything however we want. But
I see so much of a similarity in when I'm talking to my jazz musician friends.
Yeah.
And they'll complain about the technology and how everybody can sound great, you know, stuff. It doesn't take anything. We're losing jobs. There's no more work anymore. And then I'll talk to my photographer friends. Oh man, everybody's got a camera. They're making it too easy. You know, it's like everybody's a photographer now and stuff. So a very parallel conversation.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is where the artist side of these two genres, music and photography, have their similarities, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Ted, let's talk about your favorite photographer.
Okay.
Who would that be?
Well, it's Saul Leiter.
Mm.
And, you know, I love his color work and I love his black and white work.
Yeah.
And, you know, I never really paid attention to color much. Just in general, looking at photography, I've always, it was actually like seeing like, oh gosh, what's his name? Herman Leonard? The jazz photographer he's got so much of that, you know, from like back with Basie and Ella Fitzgerald and all these people and stuff, and seeing all this really high contrast black and white. That's what kind of got me into photography in the first place. Is I love the feel of those images. And then when I look at Saul Leiter's work, boy, the layers.
That's the big thing. You just hit it on the nail there. Layers.
And there's so much depth and so much feel to these images, and just a glimpse of a human figure and stuff like that. You know,
right, yeah.
That's where I like that thing where you can't see everything. You're
exactly
not You're not shown everything right up front. And the black and white stuff I love. I love the more intimate stuff with the friends and stuff like that he had and stuff that's just, boy, just so much emotion.
Very much.
So much feel there. And
I think
that's what I love about his
You
stuff.
make a very, very good point about his work. And I was talking to someone about the rule of thirds. And of course, everyone starts drawing the graph, don't they, with this person, things should be positioned. And I said, yeah, but hold on a minute, we'll take it another stage. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, how about foreground, middle, and background? There's the rule of thirds. Now look at people's work and look at that type of work. And Saul Leiter has got that. And the good photographers have got that rule of thirds. Not just on the tic-tac-toe, as you guys would call it, noughts and crosses, but on the actual forward, middle, and back part of the image. And Saul Leiter and a great exponent of that. And we spoke last night about the video, which was made of him, which we couldn't remember the title, could we? I've got it somewhere.
I'm thinking like something like 13 lessons.
Yeah, something like 13 lessons, wasn't it?
Yeah. I just watched that.
I got it here. And that was it. And then this one is In No Great Hurry.
Oh yeah, that's right. No Great Hurry. Yeah.
And I interviewed and this is a great shame. I interviewed the director of this video on my show. We had a quick 30-minute show because he was in the middle of doing some work. Wow. And the only way you can find it is by going into Google Plus and putting in his name, which is Steve Leach. And it'll come up because it didn't record to YouTube. And I've tried to get in touch with YouTube and they can't find it. You
can get it now from YouTube, at least here in the States you can.
Oh, okay.
You can, but you have to buy it. You have to buy it from YouTube.
Yeah, you can get this. Oh yeah. No, I can't get my interview with the director. I've lost it.
Like I bought it a couple of weeks ago from YouTube, but I don't get the file. I just have it. It's in my YouTube.
It's in your computer, right? Okay, yeah. No, it's but. Now the story about the guy going to Thomas Leach, not Steve Leach, sorry, Thomas Leach. He in actual fact was given the book Color, and he's a film director, and he fingered through the book, and he just couldn't believe the images, and he sent an email to the gallery and said, look, do you think Saul would be interested in me doing a documentary? And you know the rest. It's a fantastic documentary of what I considered a very humble man who loved his work, both photography and art, because he was an artist as well. But he didn't want any fuss about himself. He was very, well, you know, he was an easy come, easy go guy. You know, there's nothing sort of, I'm Saul Leiter, you know. It was,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, you like my work? That's lovely. That suits me down to the ground, you know. What a photographer! What a photographer! And as you say, he died a couple of years ago, back in 2013, which was a great loss. And so many images, I understand, which haven't been printed from the rolls of film that he's got there.
Yeah, I just pre-ordered a book. I think it's called In My Room.
Okay.
And it's more of his intimate stuff again, and things like that. But that's it was supposed to actually ship this week, but now it's been put off till June or something like that. But I think it's being done by the same people.
Lovely.
his black and white.
I'll have a look out for that one. But as I say, when we had the pre-show yesterday, we got the mono. I'll just grab it quickly because I think it's worthwhile as showing. And obviously, this is the famous early color. By Soul Lighter, which is, well, for me, it's almost the Bible, quite honest with you. I think the image of just, look at that. Absolutely. It's superb work. And like then the other one was this one, which is a double book. One is what's it called here, Ted? One's inside and outside, isn't it?
Yeah, interior and exterior.
Interior and exterior. That's the better words. But yeah, they're my pride and joy on the bookshelf. Without a doubt.
Like I said, I never paid attention to color until I saw that book.
It was a question I was going to ask you actually, because you've done quite a lot of mono work there, but there is obviously a preference for you to work in mono than color, and this is because of the earlier jazz photographer that you were mentioning there with the photographs of Ella Fitzgerald and the like. Yeah,
that just made such an. I mean, that's kind of like burned into my memory. You know, I've seen those images when I was a kid, growing up and stuff, and always seeing black and white photography around the house and things like that. And it just, I mean, I've heard a lot of people that describe it differently. Why they, you know, some people say that, well, you're drawn more to the expression, more to the person rather than the clothes and things like that. To me, it's like it just gives it that kind of built-in timeless quality, and it does take away. To me, it just kind of lifts things up a bit. Yeah. If I see a shot in color, if the color is really important, then yeah, that's cool. But if it's not, the image is going to look nicer as a monochrome. Yeah. I suppose sometimes people look at it and they think, well, there's the color, and they start looking at color around the image, and there's not one single item that concentrates the view, what you're really supposed to be looking at in the photograph. Whereas with the monotone, for instance, in the portraits you've done there in the glamour shots, there's no doubting what the concentration was of your photograph in on the person's face, you know, the monotone. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, even though it's supposed to be, you know, this sexy stuff, I always went for, this was my focus right up here. This to me is like the most important part of the photographing people and things like that, no matter what kind of shot it is. Was it Helmut Newton, I think, said one time something, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like, everything looks good in color. I mean, everything looks good in black and white, and some things look good in color. Yeah. So even he would say stuff like that, you know. Yeah, that's an interesting point there, actually. Yeah, another great photographer there. Yeah. And when you look at the work by, you know, the infamous David Bailey and Terence Donovan, with that sort of work is just absolute classic work by those guys. Yeah. Who would be your inspiration, Ted? Just in general, life kind of that kind of thing.
In general, not necessarily associated with photography or whatever. Just in general, yeah. Who'd be your inspiration?
Well, I'd have to say throughout most of my life, it's been my mom. You know, she's just a good person, and any kind of good qualities that I might have are because of her. You know, and that kind of thing. Just always led a great life. But recently, it's my little 7-year-old nephew, the little guy I just showed you the photo. Yeah. He's so creative. He's got that perspective from that 7-year-old, you know, perspective on there, and he's probably my other one.
It's amazing actually how many people do say that to me, that there's a little person in their life that they're enjoying seeing that person growing up. And I was going to say, when you mentioned about your mum, I would say the same. My mum was a big inspiration to me. She thought I was the greatest photographer in the world, so that's good enough for me.
That's a good mom right there.
That's a great mom, isn't it? But no, I understand exactly what you're saying when you start talking about the little people in your life. You know, I've got great daughters and sons that are growing up, and watching them develop into young adults is just been a great joy. And you do get inspiration from your kids, you know, and your younger relatives. It's quite nice to see that.
He'll do stuff like, we've got this little, we made our own Monopoly board for this little game we're playing. We made it ourselves. And then we'll go, hey, we don't have any dice here. So he makes his own dice. I mean, he's just that kind of creative, you know. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's amazing. And there was one of my other guests that had given his son a camera, and he said, he's going to be good. He's going to be good. He said, I can see that Les Immigrant had given his camera to his son, and he said, I could see the way he's taking the photographs and setting it all up. And he said, he's going to be good. I can see it, which is just great, isn't it? Just great.
Yeah.
Ted, it's been absolutely a joy to talk to you. Thank you so much today. I love your videos with all your work you're doing, showing your work and talking about Fuji's and that. It's been absolute joy.
Man, I was a little nervous at first, but thank you very much.
No, don't be silly. It's only us and a few thousand people. Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, thanks. Thank you.
No, I think we've had some live viewers on tonight, which has been really great. And that's obviously testament to the videos that you show on YouTube. And long may that continue. But with regards to your music, hey, go and make another album. Go on, do another song album. Put it out there, man.
I got to start practicing again.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do some of your live gigs. Then get the guys.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would
be fun, wouldn't it? Get all the computer live. Let's just do something live, you know?
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be a good idea. Anyway, I'm definitely gonna download that album because Jane, my wife, she loved it. As soon as she heard it, she said that is perfect. So congrats on that. Congrats on your work. Congrats on everything else, Ted. Thanks so much for joining me. We've lost the picture. I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to flick it. Oh, there we go. I've just come back. Sorry about that. And then I went and lost Ted, but it's gone blank. You should still see me. Just to say thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. I hope you've enjoyed this evening show. I certainly have. Suffice to say, if you're going out shooting this weekend, we've got one more day to the weekend, and it's a long weekend in the UK, so you've got 3 days of shooting. I'll tell you what, leave your camera bag at home. All the best. Bye for now.